Hi, folks. This is Mark Smith with Family Tree Brand Life Coaches. And I heard a quote the other day that offered some inspiration. The quote came from a source that I only have one other quote from this guy. I don't really have a whole lot of respect for this guy, other than he was the father of my profession. It's a fella named Sigmund Freud. Many of Freud's beliefs and philosophies have been discarded because they were full of crap. But many of them, of his beliefs, are still highly regarded and seen as very brilliant. But here's the quote. And he said, "One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful." One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Sigmund Freud. I know what you folks are thinking. You've just been shattered. You've been humiliated. You have complex PTSD. You have suicidal thoughts. You've lost your job. You don't have any money. Some narcissistic bastard is dragging you through court and trying to take your children. You can't eat and you've lost too much weight, or eaten too much and you've gained too much weight. Your hands are shaking. You have pain in your heart. You can't sleep. I get it. Been there, done there. Bought about 3 t-shirts. But having said that, I thought of 15 experiences during my shattering until now. My shattering really began April the 26th of 2015. And I've continued to heal and become more and more whole as time goes on. But as y'all know, it's a slow process. So we're sneaking up on 4 years. But as I look back during the years of struggle, there were 15 things that really struck me as beautiful. I thought of one right away, and then the other 14 came pretty darn quickly. My best July 4th, here's number one, was the July 4th of that year, 2015. I was at a treatment center called Milestones Treatment Center right next to On-Site near Nashville, Tennessee. Wonderful place. On-site workshops. If you have any resources at all and you want to really dig in and work on your issues, please Google on-site workshops and go for a week. That'll be the best money you ever spent. But I went down there for a week and then knew I was so damaged I couldn't leave. And I'd run through all of my credit cards. And frankly, I asked my 27-year-old son, who's quite successful, to write the check for the treatment center, which I'm paying him back. But July 4th, we actually got the blessing of having Diet Cokes that day in the treatment center because they want you caffeining up. And we also were going to sit out there in the prairie and look up at the fireworks not far away in the city. But it was torrentially raining. I've never seen rain come for so hard and so long. So the fireworks were canceled. I was in a treatment center. I wasn't with friends and family. I did have a few Diet Cokes, but we went out and we sat by a fire, and then the rain got to be too much. And then 4 of us One of the counselors had their iPhone. They had a little music, good music, danceable music, and they started playing it. And then four of us who barely knew each other, but knew each other well enough to feel safe, we just started dancing. I think it was two gals and one friend of mine. He danced like Snoopy. His older man, a little bit older than me. You got to be old if you're older than me. And he danced like Snoopy, and we went out into the torrential rain, and we got down. You know, I never danced so much. It may not have been dancing well, but it was dancing with joy. It was one of the best experiences of my life. That stuff right there, that's priceless. Another thing is, during that time, from about December, when I sort of had my head screwed on straight, of 2015, for the next 2 or 3 years, I got, this is going to sound arrogant. I don't mean it as arrogant. Please don't take it that way. But I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments saying what a beautiful person I was. And since I've gotten I've gotten more better. There's been a lot less comments about how beautiful of a person I am. But when there's a sweetness about you and an innocence, because you've been clobbered back into your friggin' childhood, you are sort of beautiful in your spirit. One of the things that happened to me was narcissistic abuse and complex PTSD caused financial tsunamis. And really, I had a more minor shattering a couple of years before that, and I dug myself out of the hole. I was $122,000 in credit card debt, and paid off every penny of it. And as I was sitting with my therapist in Indianapolis, Rick Gustafson, a man who I have so much gratitude toward, he gave me this little plaque. It just says, "Congratulations." Some mentor had given it to him when he dug himself out of debt due to drug addiction. And he gave it to me, and this is one of my treasures. If the house is burning down, this is one of the things I'm going to grab. Another beautiful thing was the first time I visited Family Tree. I couldn't work for about, it was let's see, May, June, it was over 2 months. But during that time, I came for a visit. And again, I was clobbered back into the innocence of my childhood. And I looked around it was actually my office, oddly enough, our group room. And I go, wow, you guys have a really nice place here. And I own the place. But it didn't seem like I did. I felt little. And I was really impressed with what those folks had put together as an office, because it was so beautiful. My best friend, Fred, he sat me down and said, "Mark, I know this has been hard for you, but I like the new Mark, the shattered, recovered Mark, better than the old Mark, because the old Mark was sort of arrogant." One of the benefits, and it felt beautiful at the time, was I'd lost 53 pounds because I just wasn't interested in food because I was so shattered. And I woke up every day on the dot at 6 o'clock without an alarm, and I went and lifted weights and worked out. And then at 4 o'clock after group therapy, I would run and shoot baskets. and I would go to this sacred. It was like a circle thing. There's a name for it, but I can't ever remember the name. You guys know what it's called. It's like a sacred path. Um, and I would go walk that, sweating with my shirt off in the sun, and um, my body's not beautiful, but it was a lot more beautiful then, because I just felt strong, and I felt lean, and I felt tan, and I felt in shape. Let me tell you about the most beautiful car ride I ever had. When I finally did graduate from the treatment center, I had ridden down there in my gorgeous gold um, convertible Thunderbird, Ford Thunderbird. It's anniversary edition. I think it's the most elegant car on the planet, and it also has a V8 in it. It's a small car. They don't make them anymore. They made them about 2005. You still see them everywhere. People still want to buy them. I think if Jacqueline Onassis Kennedy was alive, she'd drive one of these Thunderbird convertibles because they're elegant. And I had, for the most part, for 2 months, I had to go ask, a 21-year-old for the key to the laundry room. I couldn't make phone calls when I wanted to. I didn't have my cell phone. I didn't have keys. I wanted to have stuff in my pocket. When I was at the treatment center, I carried around a marble and I carried around a little tiger. Just give me something to have in my pocket. Um, the marble I liked because it was beautiful, and the tiger represented recovery from trauma, from Peter Levine's book, Waking the Tiger. But I got the keys to my Ford convertible, and I rode on a beautiful sunny day from near Nashville, Tennessee to my home in Carmel, Indiana, north of Indianapolis, and I went fast. And I was playing music and I was singing, and I was really filled with joy. I'll never forget the freedom and the speed and the air freshness was beautiful. Another beautiful thing as I look back is I made an unofficial treatment center in St. Joe, Michigan. I had a friend there, and a friend of a friend let me stay in his basement, and I'd get up every morning and I'd go to the spa. I'd get my slippers and my robe, and this didn't really cost a lot of money. I was getting mainly treatments that were from like machines, but at the end of the day I would get a really healing massage. But sitting in the waiting room, it was called Revive Spa there in St. Joe, Michigan. And the waiting room is really zen. There's a little fireplace. You can have tea. I'd go in with my little slippers and my robe. I'd be drinking tea like I was the friggin' king of England. Didn't have 2 shekels to rub between my fingers, but it was a beautiful, 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 beautiful experience. I'd get to the end of my spa day. I'd walk across the street and see my EMDR therapist. And then I would walk over to the cliff, which oversaw a train track and the ocean, not the ocean, it would be Lake Michigan, while there was a sunset. So a train would be going by and tooting its horn while you were looking at the ocean as the sun was going down, as I was healing. It makes me almost want to cry to think about it. It was just so beautiful. And it's the beauty of it sustained me. Being bludgeoned and beaten and shattered, I think at the age then of, I guess I was 56 by then, I decided to move to a place that I wanted to live, and that's near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because I was ready to get off the treadmill. And I have a cute little house down here. Um, it has a little hot tub in the back. It has beautiful trees, has fence for the dogs, and it has a really cool office for me to work with people remotely. And I work with people from all over the world, and I love my work. I get up in the morning, hit the hot tub, then put on a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and grab a cup of coffee. I'm ready to do some work. But the beauty of the beach and the beauty of my little home here, it came from the anguish. It felt like pain was chasing me out of town and landing me in a beautiful sacred place. I wrote a lot more poetry. There's two kinds of people that write a lot of poetry: people who are in love and people who are in pain. Um, I had this front porch that reminded me of the sex addict narcissist who um, I was involved with, that was involved with my shattering, and I transformed it. I had my assistant Jeff paint the chairs that my good friend Lenny made, paint them red, and we got new comforters for the or pillows for the chairs and colorful tables, and it got turned into and little colorful animals, birds, and it looked like heaven. I didn't spend a lot of money. It's probably under $200 total, but it was it was just a very sacred place. And I live in a different place, but I still have a similar porch, and I still have the freshness and the color and the beauty of that environment. One of the most beautiful things that happened to me during that period of time, my favorite book is this book. It's called Another Chance. It's by an author named Sharon Wegscheider-Cruse. This book right here, I was given as an assignment when I was working with the National Council on Alcoholism, my second year of graduate school in 1986. And I wasn't in recovery in 1986. I was driving my professors crazy because I didn't believe in therapy. And I would go and try to shove Jesus down their throats, which they didn't really appreciate at the time. And then I read this book and I got in recovery. Here's a chapter. It's on the lost child. And I was sort of a combination family hero, lost child. And then the beautiful, wonderful thing, the woman who started On Site that I talk about is the woman who wrote this book, Sharon Wegscheider-Cruse. She wrote this book, Another Chance, and that's how I got in therapy. And one of my programs that we get together for the first night, she was there. She was, probably in her late 70s. This was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. She was there in a circle. And I went up to her and I told her that this book changed my life. And she gave me a big hug, and she signed her card. I didn't have the book with me. She couldn't sign the book, but she signed her card. That's a picture of Sharon Wegscheider-Cruse, one of my heroes. She started On Site and then sold it to Miles Adcock, who's a great man, a great young man. Google Miles Adcock and On Site, and you'll see an amazing, humble, sweet, intelligent, cool dude. And so that was special. So early on in my on-site experience, I got a letter from this narcissistic borderline combo woman. It was just horse shit. It was manipulation. And I was fragile and I wanted to burn it. So I went to this Victorian mansion where on site where we have lunch and breakfast and dinner. And I thought the flues were open, and I lit that couple of those, what I had, a couple letters, a couple cards, and I lit them on fire and burned them in the fireplace. Turns out the flue wasn't open, and the smoke backfired throughout the whole building, and the police, the fire station had to be called, and there was a big fire truck, and there was an investigation, and we had to eat breakfast outside that day. But you know what? Nobody knew it was me. But the overnight guy who works there, and I know his name really well, but I just can't think. Richard. He came to me, and Richard's a good man, and his job was just be there overnight, just sort of being our dad and our mom and getting us through the night. And I went to Richard. I said, Richard, that was me had done that. And there was no judgment. There was just respect and encouragement for being authentic. Something that happened, I'm up to 14. Something that happened recently over Christmas. I'd actually been experimented with a medication, an antidepressant, and my psychiatrist lady swore it was great and it was going to help me, and I started to say, boy, I don't feel very good. She goes, it's not that. So I took it again, and I was a mess. Just before Christmas, right around Thanksgiving, I was tired. All my PTSD symptoms were getting worse, PTSD symptoms, and I stopped taking it, and I've been better ever since. But I was freshly off a period of time just before Thanksgiving where things were really painful, really dark. And my son from San Francisco, who's 28, he was there in Indy. And I just wanted to be authentic with a member of my family. I don't want to dump shit on my kid, but he's 28 and he's pretty sharp and he's pretty strong. And I just wanted to be authentic. So I dropped him and his girlfriend off after watching Creed. We went and watched the movie Creed. It was midnight. And I drove off, and I turned myself, I texted and turned myself around and said, can I have a few minutes of your time, young man? He come out, and I talked about my pain. Not in a weak way, not in a sappy way, not in a pathetic way, but in a manly way. And he showed empathetic concern, and he brought up some issues that he had with me. And then he hugged me and told me that he loved me. And it was cool. It was badass. So the last thing that's beautiful is just enjoying a sense of gratitude and ownership of my own issues. I am not bitter toward the woman who did all the horrific things and exploited me financially. I allowed her to exploit me financially, and who was a fraud and just a really piece of work narcissist. But so what? I recruited her. I kept her. I was addicted to her. I kept kicking her out, and I kept bringing her back. I was working on my mommy issues. So I look back at the whole experience and say it made me a better man. It made me a better therapist. It made me a more humble man. It made me a man that could enjoy the beauty of things. So I'm telling you that all is not lost. You can dig yourself out of debt. You can dance in the rain. You can rebuild your body. You can enjoy the benefits of humility. You can enjoy the simple things like a walk on the beach or a drive in a fine automobile. You can transform a room into something beautiful without spending a lot of money. You can eliminate your shame. I had this client once, and she came in and said, "Mark, I really shit my pants this week." I thought that was funny. But when I burned the cards in that fireplace, I really shit my pants. But when you don't have a lot of shame, you could just say, "Yeah, that was me that done shit my pants, and I'm sorry." And it's a beautiful thing. You can be authentic with people, and you can walk around with blessing and with gratitude. Anyway, I hope this spoke to you. Be encouraged. There are better days ahead. If you embrace the pain in a proactive way and eliminate victim mentality and triangulation and building up of flying monkeys for your cause, it'll make you a better man. It'll make you a better woman. And there will be better days ahead where you'll be blessed. I keep little sayings on, I don't have them on my mirror now, I have them sitting over on my bookshelf, but one of them says, that you'll be blessed and comfortable in your older days, golden years. I'm still not giving in at 59 to be in golden years. I still got a little fight in me. I still can play a little basketball, and I still feel young, but I'm grateful in retrospect and the years of struggle. There are moments of just gorgeous beauty and depth and connection and joy and dancing in the rain. That's all I had to say. So thanks y'all for watching. God bless.